We're going to shift our attention to state politics for just a moment and welcome back to the show Representative Jody Barrett of the 69th District. He joins us this afternoon to talk about the goings-on of the first week of the legislative session, and he's brought a buddy. He's brought a friend, and I already like him better than you. Hey, Jody, how are you?
It's not hard to find somebody you like better than me.
That's true. I like you, and you know that. What's going on, man? You doing all right?
Oh, doing great.
I want to give you the opportunity to introduce our guest, whom I just met moments ago.
Yeah, so brought one of my fellow freshmen, the actual youngest member of the House of Representatives, Mr. Kip Capley.
Kip Capley,
yes,
everybody.
Woo! Thank you. I appreciate
just
that.
Just me? Thank you. Thanks. Nice. So, when he says young, you're representing the 71st District,
yes.
right? That's we were just talking about this during the break. Tell me where that is.
It's the western portion of Murray County, the northwest chunk of Lawrence County, all of Wayne County, and part of Hardin County.
And what? How old are you?
I'm 26.
26 years old.
Yep.
You were called to public service. Why?
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to create a difference. You know, I was in my community, and I really wasn't thinking about serving, and I noticed that there were some other gentlemen that got in the race, and I wasn't comfortable with them representing my family, and I had a conversation with my mom and dad and said, I'm going to put some feelers out there and see what's going on. And, you know, if I lose, I was 25 at the time. If I lose, nobody's going to look at the young man like he didn't try, and we tried and won. So,
what was the response when you would go around the district and when people found out? I know from personal experience in my world, right? When I started talk radio, I'm 50 now. When I started, I was 26 years old. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of 50-year-olds that would call me on a regular basis and tell me that I'm still wet behind the ears. I don't know what the heck's going on. Give it 10 or 15 years and I'll figure it out. Did you get a lot of that when you were around?
For sure. All the time. I mean, it was constant. I got kids older than you. I got grandchildren that are older than you are. Why do you think you can do this, right? But I just, I'm very conservative. When as soon as I open my mouth, they get it. I feel like they do. I don't want to sound boastful, but I'm
going to tell a little secret about what just happened, and I don't think Kip will mind it. So we were talking, we were getting to know each other right before we came back on air, and I said, "What in the world did you get into politics for?" And we've got a picture of Donald Trump in the room, and he pointed and said, "That guy."
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Right? I mean, because I think he's opened the world to a lot of eyes are open to the possibility of the fact that they are more conservative than they think. I mean, we have it drilled into us when we're 20, 21, 22 that you got to be, if you're young, it's cool and hip to be a liberal.
Yeah.
Sadly, that doesn't work in the real world. And it's the old Churchill quote that if you're under 30, if you're under 30 and conservative, you don't have a heart. If you're over 30 and liberal, you don't have a brain.
Was it Churchill or was that Reagan?
I think it was Churchill.
I think it was Churchill. I think Reagan probably repeated it. Yeah,
well, everybody quotes Reagan all the time.
So you're just an early bloomer.
Yeah, well, I got tired of being spoon-fed everything in college, and thankfully I've got a good family behind me that instilled some core biblical beliefs in me. And when that didn't line up, I was like, this is not right.
What are the big issues that you were running on? What are the big issues that your district talks about as the session starts?
Yeah, transparency for sure. The Second Amendment. Obviously, lower taxes. Abortion was a big one. I'm a big pro-life guy. I got a personal story behind that. Those are some of the big ones. The marquee. So for my district, right, super conservative. We're 82% Republican with a Democrat challenger, and it's a really conservative area. A lot of rural folks. Big ag area. People want to make sure that the money that they're spending that goes to the state.
You guys seem like real conservatives down there, not like up there in that big city of Dixon. A bunch of liberals.
Real purple in Dixon County. Real purple.
Yeah. Stoplights come up and people have problems. Like, whoa, now I don't know.
Hold on now. We don't want to be the big city.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I think 2 lights are just fine.
That's
Thank you, Kip. Let's move on. You mentioned transparency, and I have kind of combined what might be separate issues, and I understand, and I have to say it, I know that it's kind of weedy, but I love this stuff, right? And I feel like some of your colleagues on the Republican side are kind of falling prey to traps that are being laid by these Democrat chaos makers. And one of them involves transparency in committee, and maybe I'm wrong. I mean, you guys tell me. I don't have issue with procedural votes happening on voice at all. I wouldn't have a problem with final passage of a bill coming out of committee by roll call. I know that now it can pass through voice vote. At the same time, I understand the concerns of leadership. I understand that they don't want to bog a session down and keep y'all there till middle of June or whatever. That's a waste of the taxpayer dollars. Let me start with Jody.
Yeah.
Where are you on this committee issue and this? I mean, because there are some outsiders that are saying that Republicans are not being as transparent as they should.
Well, in my experience in the short year that I've been up there, I don't think I've ever had an issue with being able to have my vote recorded. If a committee vote goes against the way I was voting on a bill, it's very easy for me to just get the attention of the clerk and say, hey, thumbs up, thumbs down for me on that one. So I can have my vote recorded however I need it to be.
Right. The way that they do it, and it's a little difficult to explain on radio, but it makes sense to me once I had it explained to me. It's a voice vote, and if it's obvious, the chair notes that, the ayes have it or the nays have it, and you are presumed to be in the prevailing vote, meaning you're presumed to be on the winning side of the vote unless you ask the clerk to note it. And then it's recorded that way, right?
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not hard at all.
So even if there are some no's vocalized and the chair calls it for the ayes, unless you go tell the clerk that you are a no vote, it'll be recorded as a unanimous. It just says that the ayes have it.
Right.
And so if you feel strongly enough that you want the record to show that you were opposed to that bill, then all you have to do is let the clerk know.
So, for example, using you two gentlemen in the room with me, if we were a part of a committee and God forbid, and I mean that literally, God forbid the issue of abortion come up in a committee and somehow they said, we're going to legalize abortion again in Tennessee, and they vote that, and that's voted correctly. I would expect that Kip and Jody would stand up and go, hold on a second, you need to note me as a dang no. Because
absolutely.
For sure. Well,
right.
and even on the non-controversial bills, and Jody can attest to this, all you have to do is go, hey, and just get the clerk's attention and give them a thumbs down, and that's it.
A hand signal.
5 seconds.
It's not a very difficult process.
right.
It's very simple.
So do you have an issue with the rules that are as they exist right now?
I do not.
I don't either. No.
So on the floor is getting a little more attention because obviously that's more visual. More people see what's going on the floor, either through video or in person. And you put out something yesterday, Jody, and I just want you to walk through how you got your hands on it and what it indicated to you, because the minority party, the Democrat Party, they have 24 members in the House?
That's correct.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they are just screaming about not having a voice in
Oh yeah, they're being shut
the
down
process.
and shut down, and it's fascism. They can't. Their voices being silenced. All of that. Yes. So you're referring to a tweet yesterday where I put out the list that was actually compiled by the clerk's office at the request of our caucus, because this conversation, this narrative, has been created now for quite some time. And I want to give all credit to Representative Jason Zachary, who stood up and presented this on the floor in debate. That, look, the narrative that's being put out there is not accurate. 9 of the top 10 people speaking for number of minutes speaking on the floor are all Democrats. 3 of the top 4 are the 3 that are complaining that they're being silenced all the time.
Well, I got the list here. Let me just run it down. So understand that you have the Democrat Party, and you have the usual suspects. I call them the Bullhorn Brigade, right?
Yeah.
Johnson, Pearson, and Jones, along with J.R. Clemens and some other Democrats, are just screaming about how this isn't how democracy works, and you guys are being authoritarians, and the majority party is just running roughshod over them. I just want to read the list. So the top 10 speakers in the last calendar year, the first year of the session's 2 years technically, right?
Correct.
Correct.
So the first year of the 2-year session, the top 10 speakers are, now y'all tell me Democrat or Republican, okay? All right.
Sure.
So I'm just going to, Pearson.
Democrat.
Okay. Number 2, Clemens.
Democrat.
Number 3, Jones.
Democrat.
Number 4, Johnson.
A Democrat.
Number 5, Hardaway.
Democrat.
Number 6, Powell.
A Democrat.
Number 7, Mitchell.
Democrat.
Number 8, McKenzie.
A Democrat.
Number 9, Parkinson.
A Democrat.
Number 10, Lamberth.
Our illustrious Republican leader. My man.
So the number 1 speaker for the Republicans is the majority leader, who's, part of his duty is to get up and speak on certain matters. So you would expect that I would expect him to be in the top 3.
You would think he would be absolutely in the top 3. He's the one that, yeah, exactly. You would think that would be correct.
So this is brilliant. The Democrats, while they claim that their voices are being silenced, of the top 10 speakers in last year's legislative session, 9 of the 10 are Democrats.
And some journalists went ahead and compiled all of this together so that we could see collectively Democrats and Republicans, and the Democrats collectively are still speaking more than the Republicans on the House floor.
Despite the fact the Republicans, 2-1, 3-1.
I want to say, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think mine was less than 8 minutes.
75 Republicans to 24 Democrats.
Well, I think, Kip, you only speak when you have something to say, right?
That's exactly right.
As opposed to what they're trying to do.
When Kip Capley talks, people listen.
I appreciate
That's what I'm told. That's what I'm told. That's what I was told by Jody right before you came in. He goes, "You better listen," because he's a tall drink of water.
That's right.
It's good to have the bigger guys on your side, right?
Hey, when you're horizontally challenged, you got to make sure you make friends with the big guys.
So speaking of having big guys on your side, can we tell this story that you told me before you came on?
Sure.
So apparently Justin Jones doesn't like being touched.
By me, in particular, apparently. So we had a little, I wouldn't even call it an altercation. We just had a discussion this morning. How about that? It's very common to walk around the floor and shake hands, pat guys on the shoulder, on the back, whatever, and say, hey, good morning. And so I was walking out of the little side room there where you get coffee and where Justin's desk is, and just touched him on the shoulder and said, hey, Justin, good morning. And he recoiled immediately and said, don't touch me. Kind of balled up his fist a little bit. And so I touched him again and said, hey, man, what's wrong?
Are you, everything okay over there? You need to talk?
Yeah. And he started going off about something about Twitter and me playing games with him on Twitter or something like that. And I just looked at him and said, buddy, you have some serious mental issues that you need to work on, and walked off at that point.
So you were walking, I guess, to your desk, or you were walking away from and you just kind of casually, like we all do in our offices or in our businesses or whatever, at church or whatnot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You just kind of brushed him on the shoulder, say hello.
Good morning.
Mm-hmm. And his response was, don't touch me.
Don't touch me, Jody.
Well, that's good. That's good. It's good to know you've got, you got that.
We're very close.
Colleague dynamic going on.
Yeah, they're very close. Yeah.
There's a lot of screaming and yelling, and I kind of dispatched of this yesterday. Look, people can decide for themselves whether they like the rules or not. But the fact of the matter is the House of Representatives sets the rules. You guys set the rules.
It's a democratic process for which the rules are put in place. We have a vote. The rules are discussed, debated, bipartisan. Members of both parties are on that subcommittee. They're voted on, and then they're presented to the entire body and voted on again.
How much discretion in your experience, and I know that it's relatively limited for you two because you're freshmen, but how much discretion does the speaker have? It feels to me, as I watch on television, as I go down to the gallery, and I've been down several times and watched, that he's kind of like the umpire, that he didn't set the rules of the baseball game. The baseball game rules were set by the members. He's just the guy that's got to call the balls and strikes. Mm-hmm. And you've got one team, the Democrats, that are attempting to constantly exploit the rules, then complaining that they're getting picked on.
Right.
But the only reason they're getting picked on is because they're the ones that are exploiting the rules.
The difference is that the Speaker of the House, an umpire is selected by the league and chosen. The Speaker of the House is selected by the players. We elect the Speaker, so we put him in that position. Yeah. We gave him the authority to run the show, and he's just doing what we've asked him to do.
And I will say this, he has given them much more leeway than he gets credit for. He lets them... He's very gracious. He's a lot more gracious than I would be.
He's trying to give them just latitude.
He's given them a lot of latitude. He's given them he's done an excellent job in that regard, I think, in my opinion.
Have any of the rules changed from, this year to last in the General Assembly?
Some of the package that was put in place for the special session after all of the brouhaha that we had at the end of the spring session, some of that has carried over. Mm-hmm. Some of it's been fine-tuned a little bit. And all of the new rules and things that we put in place have been taken from other states around the country and Congress. So it's not like we're pulling these rules out of thin air to come up with some way of shutting these folks down.
All right, so just to help understand, when we talk about time speaking and this is floor time, how does that work? So there's a matter before, help us laymen understand, Kip. How does it work? Something comes up, and does anybody get a chance to speak on it if they want to?
So once the bill sponsor has explained the bill, then obviously the floor is open up for questions or responses or however you want to look at it. Generally what will happen is someone will raise their hand and try to get recognition from the speaker. Whoever the speaker sees with their hands raised, he has a little notepad, and he jots down names of people who want to talk. And then whoever raises their hand, he calls on them. They get 2 minutes to speak. You can talk about whatever you want about the bill. You can ask questions. You can take the full 2 minutes. You can take 10 seconds. You can take 5 seconds, however much time you want to take. And then that would allow the sponsor of the bill, the person carrying the bill, to respond. And then they would respond, and it goes back and forth. But you have 2 minutes now, right? Correct, Jody?
That's correct.
2 minutes now, right? In that time frame to get your question out and get a response. And then it's over.
And if I feel like I'm a representative, let's say I'm, oh God, I hesitate doing this. Let's say I'm Justin Jones.
Oh.
And I know it's rough. So neither one of you touch me while I'm Justin Jones.
You have a better beard than me.
I tell you what, I've got it. I should have done that. I'm going to take a break. Bell says I got to take a break, and I'm going to decide to be somebody other than Justin. I'm going to be Gloria Johnson. So my pronouns are she and her when we come back on Super Talk 99.7 WG. Super Talk 99.7 WT in a few more moments with Kip and Jody. That's Kip Capley and Jody Barrett. 71 and 69, respectively. I think I got that right.
Yes, sir.
I'm very proud of myself. So I was going to be Gloria Johnson, and I was going to try to figure out. So if I'm Gloria Johnson, I'm not going to do the voice. I started to do the voice. I'm not going to do it because we don't have time. If I get my 2 minutes out and I don't feel like I fully understand, can I get back in line?
You can go to the back of the line, just raise your hand again, and he'll put you at the bottom of the list. And if the question doesn't get called before you get back up to the top of the list again, you'll have another opportunity.
So does the speaker have certain levels of, is the discretionary power involving what is on topic versus what is off topic?
That is the speaker's job to call balls and strikes.
Okay.
Now, if the speaker calls you out of order under the rules, you can object to that and ask the body to vote on it, which we just had that happen on the very first day with our friend Representative Jones. And once again, he was called out of order. There was an objection to that, and then we had a vote, and the body voted to decide whether or not he was out of order or not.
And you cannot make disparaging comments about anyone, any part of the body, or really anyone. No. Like, you can't point out somebody in the gallery and say, that guy's ugly. I mean, that's going to be called out of order too, right? Mm-hmm.
Frowned upon in this establishment.
I would think so.
And also, too, you got to remember, this is not the first time these bills are being heard. All of these bills are coming through committee, and there's an extensive process, and we hash it out and fight it out in committee before they even hit the floor.
They just, largely they just have their lips pooched out because they're in the minority, and they don't like being in the minority.
It would be very difficult to be one of 24 people trying to get to 50 votes when you know you have to get 26 folks on the other side of the aisle to come along with you. And there's only, there's two ways of approaching that. One of, I'm going to actually try to go get those 26 votes, or I'm just going to throw up my hands and decide that there's no way I can win, so I'm just going to pitch a fit.
Mm-hmm.
So let me talk in a couple of minutes. Hopefully we can have some of these visits again. I wanted to primarily talk to you about the speaking time issue, which I first saw on your Twitter feed, Jody, and I thought it was hilarious. But the gallery issue, right? There's a lot being made of this, and I think it's being misrepresented in the media to the point that I talked about it yesterday, and I had people even after the show saying, why don't you think that people should be able to go into the gallery? On the East Gallery is open to the public, first come, first serve, every session, correct?
Correct.
Wide open.
Okay. And it makes sense the way they're doing the West Gallery with the ticketing process. And as I described it yesterday, the caucuses, the Republican and Democrat caucus, will handle their allotment of tickets.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Each member has a ticket.
Mm-hmm. So if constituents from down in Murray County call Kip and say, hey, Kip, I got 4 of my kids, we homeschool, we want to come see how the sausage is made up there. That would give you the ability to check the schedule and figure out a day for them to come where they know they'll be able to get in.
Yeah, and all I would do is call our caucus chairman and say, hey, I need X amount of tickets. And he says, okay.
And the staff would call around and
get
tickets from cobbled together.
I mean, you kind of collect them, and you kind of it's a shared collective.
Prime example, yesterday, or maybe it was the day before yesterday, I had a representative from Hamilton County. He came to my office, said, "Hey, I've got some constituents that came all the way from Hamilton County. Can I have your tickets?" Yeah. I didn't have anybody there.
And each representative has a ticket per day.
Correct.
In their allotment. And that's on the media side. The media is also on that side of the gallery.
And once again, that idea we didn't pull out of the air. That comes from Congress. If you go on Congress's website and check the rules for how to get into the gallery, it's a ticketing process.
That's right.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I mean, obviously it's free. I mean, and when people heard tickets, they thought that there's no charge. And if you want to come day of, all you got to do is come early and get in line on the east side. But that's first come, first served. This is to prevent people from coming from Bristol or wherever and driving all that way and not having access to the facility.
That's correct. So somebody always has a place to sit.
Real quickly, because Belle's telling me we got to go, I'll start with you, Kip. What's if you had to pick one bill that's a priority, one bill that you want to see more than anything?
I've got one that I'm getting ready to file right now, that if you assault a police officer, a nurse, or a member of our emergency medical services, that's going to be a felony.
Is it not?
No.
Okay.
Class C felony.
I agree with that. What do you got, Jody?
I've got a red flag preemption bill. So Oklahoma has what they call an anti-red flag law, which is not really what it is, but essentially, in order to keep, since we did not do anything in special session that some of the folks on the other side of the aisle wanted us to do, this bill would preempt those decisions to the state level and prevent Shelby County or Davidson County from adopting their own red flag ordinance. So we end up with 17 different rules for folks all across the state. So my bill will make it where only the state legislature has the ability to make laws on that subject matter.
Can you ask them real quick where they stand on Lambert's bill for making child rape a potential capital case?
Yeah, this is a bill that we talked about yesterday, where William Lambert was on with us, the House Majority Leader, and he wants to make rape potentially rape of a child punishable by death. Where are you?
I'm for it.
Yeah,
I'd like to see the language. I mean, I haven't read the bill, but
sure.
as the concept that you just described, absolutely. If you're found guilty of that egregious offense, I think you should be put to death, personally.
Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of pushback on that bill other than the mechanisms for how it gets established. So I think we'll want to see how that proof gets put into evidence in order to determine whether or not, because it's hard to get somebody under 12, a child under 12, putting them on the stand and establishing that evidence for whether or not the rape happened and how it happened. So we sort through those issues. I have no problems with the sentencing side of things.
I love it. All right, let's do this again, gentlemen.
Yeah,
thank
please.
you for coming by. Appreciate you, Jody, as always, and thank you for bringing somebody taller into the studio with us.
So from the movie Twins, I'm Arnold. I'm Danny DeVito. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He's got more hair than Arnold.
That's true.
It's fading. It's coming back a little bit.
I got a sponsor for you. I'll talk to you about that later.
We'll talk about that after the show, baby.
Thank you to Kip and Jody, good representatives both. We'll be back in just a moment on Super Talk.